Okay, so we're going to have a quick look today at how we can do some effective image workflow steps. The end result you always want to be working for when you're putting images into a website is small files. Small files because for one, it saves you storage space, and for two, it means that your SEO is going to benefit. Google will measure how quickly pages load, so if you're putting big pictures on your pages, they're going to load slower. Put small pictures on and they'll load quickly. Google likes that and you will get a benefit for it. So the picture we're looking at here is a picture of my son, Elliot, at a jiu-jitsu competition. And this is a big picture. You can see down here, bottom left, 4,000 pixels wide, 300 ppi. That's a print resolution. So there's a lot of data in this file. If we go and have a look at the picture in the folder on my computer, you can see image number 278, that's almost a 10 megabyte picture. We've got another one here that's 7 megabytes and one here that's 14 megabytes. If we open both of those ones as well in Photoshop, again, you're going to see that these are humongous pictures. 3,500 pixels there, 4,800 pixels there. Really big pictures. There's a couple of very quick steps we can take to get these down to a website friendly size. First of all, resize them to a smaller pixel dimensions. Secondly, compress them. I always use Photoshop because it's the best tool for the job, in my opinion, but there's many ways you can resize images, but I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop. Open up the images that you want to resize. So again, we've got these on your computer. Open them in Photoshop. You can see along the top here, we've got 3 images open, but I think you can open 200 images at a time in Photoshop. So you could do this in big batches. But once you've got all your images open that you want to resize, go to your file menu, go down to scripts, select image processor. Make sure that you select use open images, select save in the same location, select JPEG, set the quality to 12, that's the highest quality setting, and it's important that you always try and maintain top quality. And always tick this, convert profile to sRGB. This is the color space. I say always tick it because that's the right color space to use for a screen. Sometimes you may be given photographs from a photographer that might be in CMYK or Adobe RGB. Those color spaces don't always look great on screen. So get in the habit of doing this. Tick resize to fit if it isn't already, and here's where you can put your new pixel values in. Now I've already got here the same value in each, 2,560 pixels. This script is clever enough to know that if you put the same value in each of these fields, width and height, it won't give you square images, it will apply this value to the longest edge of the image. So you could have loads of photos open, they could be landscape, they could be portrait, they could be square, doesn't matter. If you put the same value into both, it will apply that value to whatever is the longest edge in any of your open images. So these are 3 landscape photos. Setting this value like this, it's going to mean that I get new versions of them that are 2,560 pixels wide. And as we know, that is a smaller width than all of these. So let's simply press the run button and it will very quickly apply that script to those 3 images. We are now able to close those images. We don't need Photoshop anymore. Go back to our folder here. We now have another folder with new versions of the images in. And as you can see, these are much smaller, 4 megabytes versus 14 megabytes, 3.9 versus 7.1, 3.4 versus 9.4. So these are already in a much better file size condition than they were. What I am going to do though is compress these images because this is still too big to put in your website, frankly. You're going to, again, if you're working with hundreds or thousands of images over many months, you're going to be uploading files of that size and you're just wasting storage space. So the next step is to compress. I've got a website open here, tinyjpg.com. This is an excellent tool for compression. It's the best tool I've found. It's a free service. I do have a paid account, but the free service allows you to upload 20 images at a time, each with a maximum file size of 5 megabytes. I often upload hundreds of images at a time. So I pay $30 or so a year for a paid account. But you can use this for free if you can live with those limits. Now, each of these photos that I've got here that I've resized is smaller than 5 megabytes. And there's only 3 of them, so we could certainly do this on a free account. Drag and drop them into that area there. That's all you need to do. We've dragged them from the computer. And again, these are the images that we've resized. We're compressing the resized versions of the original. They're going to upload to Tiny JPEG. It's going to take a couple of moments to compress them. And now we can download each of them. And you can see here, the file size reduction is huge. 4 megabytes down to just under 500 kilobytes, an 88% file size reduction. And it's the same story for these other 2 as well. Really, really big file size reduction. We're going to look at these images side by side now, because something that people are often concerned about is this is going to ruin the quality of the images. And it's not the case. Like I say, Tiny JPEG is a really good tool. Let's open, excuse me, let's open this image first of all. This is the resized version, okay? So this image is 2560 pixels wide. If we now go across to here, I'll open up the same image, but this is resized and compressed. And you can see there is no difference in quality whatsoever. This is a 2560 pixel wide landscape image. This is a 2560 pixel wide landscape image that has also been compressed and is about 10 times smaller in terms of file size than this resized version. There's essentially no difference in quality. This is a very, very safe process to follow. Okay. One final thought. These files here are now fit to go into a website. These are the right pixel dimensions and the right file size. I would absolutely recommend, though, that you rename your images, because these file names are no good for SEO, certainly no good for just even finding the files easily in your website storage. For me, rename an image to give it something that's kind of descriptive. So here, for example, I might rename this Elliot Closed Guard. He was at the All-Stars BJJ tournament. That'll do. Something like that. That is now a much better file name in terms of being able to find it easily in whatever asset manager you use, but also from an SEO perspective, Google will index, these words in file names. And if you're renaming every photo that you upload to your website to include important stuff like brand identity, maybe even location, but certainly key phrases, key words that are relevant to your business, you're going to start to get an SEO benefit from it. So I would definitely advocate that you rename your files something like that, something that's a bit descriptive, but if you can include your brand identity as well, you're not going to go far wrong. So again, final recap. Get your original images that you've been supplied either by a photographer or that you've shot yourself, resize them in Photoshop or similar. 2560 pixels wide for a landscape image is a good compromise between smaller file size and high resolution. But really anything like 1920 pixels wide would also be a fine, good sized image with a small file size, but still nice and high resolution. Resize your images, then compress them. I use tinyjpg.com, but there's many, many similar sites that you can do that with. Finally, rename your images before you upload them to your website. Okay, that's your image workflow steps. I've made this probably look a little bit more complex than it is, but it's really not. Once you're in the habit of these steps, what we've just done here is the work of seconds. Particularly when you're using Photoshop, you can open a whole bunch of images at once, and it's 2 or 3 button clicks to run that script to all of the images that you have open. You've then got your resized images, which you can then drag and drop in one go to tinyjpeg.com, and then you can just download them all once they've compressed. This is very quick and it's very, very effective. Thank you very much. Cheerio.